You are listening to Subject to Change. Real people experiencing real life, unscripted.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Subject to Change. What are we talking about today?
Well, first I would like to talk about our premiere week from last week. And I want to thank all of the listeners who have supported us in the last week and the positive feedback and comments we've received. I think we initially, when we first talked about this, we wanted our initial goal was 5, 10 listeners, ever.
Right.
And we beat that. So we're winning.
We are
right now. So yeah, just a huge thank you to
Absolutely.
our listeners. So episode 2 and 3 are out already. And by the time you're listening to this, probably 4.
Yes. Super exciting stuff.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yes, working through our technical difficulties a little bit, but hey,
Yeah. So we thank
we'll
you
figure
for
it out.
Yeah, for your patience.
We are subject to change at Subject to Change.
I love it.
Mallory, how was your week? Our first week of freedom. That's what we can
know.
talk about.
I'd rather not.
Our first week of freedom. I'm tired.
I'm tired too,
I'm really tired.
which is ironic.
I know. But I think our body's letting go of all the stress naturally.
Yeah.
But I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm stressing a lot.
All the stress from your previous job, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Which I actually, a friend of mine texted me today who listened to episode 2 where we talked about our jobs. And he was like, I really relate to what you guys are saying because I feel like my partner and I aren't, we're stuck and we don't know what we want to do with our lives. And they're 30 and 38. So kind of like a similar age gap to you and I. Kind of just figuring life out. So it's really nice that, that's the goal of this podcast is to relate to people and, allow people to just kind of be able to talk and start conversation.
Yeah, it's a safe space to discuss all
But yeah,
things.
when we have somebody in here to talk to them about it, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, they're coming on our Christmas episode.
Sorry, the beer makes me want to burp. I love it. So I have some thoughts. Yeah, because as you say that, then I think about, well, how does anyone really, is it a change of what you're doing or is it a change of just your job because you work with someone that's borderline unethical, certainly not a great leader and certainly not helping their staff and AKA you guys, be satisfied and happy in your job. I mean, because of my position, I get into all these leadership books or, watching or listening to leadership podcasts. I had a leadership coach for a while. And it really does, everything in leadership is all about how do you keep your employees engaged? How do you keep them satisfied? How do you keep them happy at work? And working in where you did, either mental health or even healthcare in general, that's I think a challenge. So I guess I'm going to ask you guys the question. If you could wave a magic wand and say, I'm going to do this job again, but what does it look like? Without being super specific, I'll give you a minute to think about it while I talk a little bit about my masquerade party on Saturday. It was really fun. A black tie masquerade party. Super fun. No, you're supposed to be thinking. You're supposed to be thinking. I'll talk to the listeners about it.
Put us on the spot.
How would we have done that?
So the masquerade party was really cool. It was really fun. It was hard to eat with a mask on. I can tell you that.
You actually wore
I
a
bit my
mask.
cheek, and then when you bite your cheek, and then it just it's there when you're eating, and then it's just always there, and then you
Raw.
bite it at least
Yeah.
10 more times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it swells and you're like,
I know. So I didn't eat much, and then continued to drink. So there goes that. So, anyways, if you could start your own mental health facility, and to be a leader, what are some things you can think about to do that you make your employees really want to work there and be happy and satisfied and never leave?
wow, Brian's coming
Dad,
out
that
with
is
the
such a
tough questions.
challenging question. But aren't we leaders, Mallory?
You know, define leaders. Define leadership. What makes a great leader? One that leads by example. One that does the right thing even when it's hard.
Positivity, community, collaboration, teamwork, inclusion, be a support, but not too much in.
Well, you're saying words, but you have to.
So, do we give examples?
Explain. Yeah. I had a salesperson just call me, and because I had to Usually, I set my phone to silence unknown callers, which DM me, and I'll tell you how to do that. Anyways, it's pretty simple. Grandpa over here. Anyways, yeah, he just said all the buzzwords. So basically, what you did was just said all the buzzwords. Does your company want to scale? Yes. Does your company do this? Yes. XYZ? Yes.
It's easy to say it. It's a whole other ballgame to actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
But sitting back, watching our organization and some of the things that happened, I can say I would do things differently.
I think the biggest thing would be allow the people with certain job titles to do that job. Don't put your hands in it. Don't go back and take away their authority. Don't, you trust them with the job. So let them do it. So that's what I would do. Make sure I'm not getting too involved.
Until they give you reason to not trust them, trust them.
Correct.
Yes.
Well, by job title, you mean sort of the organizational chart. I mean, I don't believe in job titles, but if you're in XYZ department, but
yeah, that's so
That's a
yeah,
triggering word.
It's so true. I agree with that statement though. At the same time, but just because your organization is losing certain employees to fill those jobs, don't say I don't believe in job titles because we need somebody to
if
fill
you're
these
filling
jobs.
the job titles, don't say you don't believe in them.
Understand that. Yeah. So we do need to have roles.
Yes.
Maybe not job titles, but roles. This is my role in the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think training's huge. It was a huge missing piece of our organization.
Yeah, a lot of training.
Yeah, you have to give your
Like,
employees the proper tools to succeed.
Like I briefly talked about last week, my brother and I are getting together this nonprofit, right? And he told me today, he's like, I'm going to need you to train me on some things because he's more of the what's the word I'm looking for? He's hands-on, doesn't know anything about mental health, really. Yeah. He doesn't. So now I'm going to have to, it challenges me to come up with a way to test it on him. Like if my training can work with him, then it can work with other people. But training would be a huge part.
Yeah.
Hands-on training too, not just we're not going to watch a video. We're not going to sit here and make you bored.
All these corporations,
training should be fun.
They want to save money, and they want to sit down and have a video that every new employee watches that covers all the basics, thinking that they're going to be this star employee replicating everything that was done and demonstrated in the video, and that's just not realistic. Mm-hmm. You want someone to know how to do the job and do it well, you need to show them physically.
Yeah, I agree. That's what you experienced. You guys had to just watch videos to...
The most boring videos there were.
How to do your job?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I'm a visual learner, but a hands-on learner at the same time, so I would want to practice that into my company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
Are those better than keywords?
Yeah.
Yes, but of course I'm going to, expand on that a little bit.
We want you to.
So I've been exposed to this. It's the Entrepreneurial Operating System, or the EOS. It's I don't know. I forget the name of the person that did this, but we're not big enough for people to hold me accountable and make sure I have my references. We don't have a team that checks it all and gives me the information. But I believe in its concepts, and I believe when you start a business or run a business, or what you should expect from a business, these are the things. And I want to emphasize that too, that I talked to you guys about when you're interviewing for that job. They're not just interviewing you, you're interviewing them, so that's a good fit, right? Mm-hmm. And actually, you can go in with this this information, I think, in an interview. And what the EOS says, basically, they have these 6 tenets to create a successful company. And one is vision, so know where you're going. The second is people. Make sure you have the right people. And there is another book. I'm so bad at recalling books, especially when I don't prepare for these things. But the book is like the secrets of like why the 10 best companies or something like that. But anyways, he says that you have to have not only the right people on the bus, but they have to be in the right seat. So it's a matter of, well, maybe you're good at doing X and Mallory's good at doing Y. Then you put Mallory in Y, even though you put her somewhere else. Like, you can move people around. So in a way, back to your point of moving people around, not giving them a title, and just saying because you have a vacancy to fill that position, it's better to understand who your employees are and put them in the right position.
I think that's huge. Yeah. And that's why I love the growth coach, because it showed you what your strengths and your weaknesses were. So then you can emphasize on those, and you can put them in positions that really helps fulfill their purpose and what their strengths are. I think that's huge, but we didn't utilize it enough because our turnover rate was so high. We needed to fill these vacancies, and we couldn't put people in the positions they needed to be.
Well, turnover rate's high because your leader's so poor. So
precisely.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So right people and working with the right team also goes back to our conversation about interviewing the company as an interviewee as well, because you want to fit with the company, they want you to fit with their team, and if they're not talking about that in an interview, that's a problem. So you be confident enough to bring that up in the interview and say, hey, look, you haven't asked anything about your culture or how my culture, how I might fit in your culture. I'd really like to understand your culture.
Right. Just because I have a pulse doesn't mean I'm a great fit.
Right.
You just need somebody with a pulse.
Pretty much. It seems like it was that way sometimes.
Tenet 3 is data. So this is really like, track performance objectively. And it is really important. Sometimes it's really hard to do. So they would say, okay, Sarah, you have to meet with 4 patients a week, and that's your data. I mean, you can start as simple as that, and you got to meet those. Because how do you tell people they're not doing their job if you don't give them data? Like, you can't just say, hey, you're not doing your job. You got to have data.
That's a huge.
That's
yes.
really big. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you don't have it, issues, the number 4 tenet, issues, solve problems effectively. What they talk about in EOS is you have meetings that you bring up these issues, you describe the issue in a short amount of time, you assign that issue then to someone else, or you solve the issue. So that's how meetings should go. Meetings come in, you have an issue, you talk about the issue, you assign that issue to somebody, and then give them a deadline to get it fixed, and then you report on it on the next meeting. So it's a matter of just bringing them up, either solving them in that meeting or assigning them to someone they have to be done by the next meeting. Process, create consistency and scalability. So that's what you guys are talking about. Like, instead of just being shown videos, have a training process, have a process for these things to work. And then traction is like to continue to do that, execute with focus and accountability. Make people accountable for their jobs with that data and following the process, and keep them focused on their jobs. I just think that's really good. I think always appropriate to bring that up.
Yeah, that's actually really good. Can we copy and paste that?
Yeah.
Like, I would love to use that as like an outline, yeah, for future reference. And I think another thing that I mentioned to my friend today, because it's something I'm seeing a lot with people in their 30s and millennials, is like, it's like a kind of a controversial topic of millennials kind of just like giving up, I guess. Not giving up, but like we're stuck. Because I feel like there was a lot of societal pressure for us to like climb the rat race because we had to make all this money. If not, we're going to fail. And then like, I feel like during COVID, people started realizing like that's a scam and that's not how things work now. And now we just don't know what we want to do with our lives. I'm saying like we as in like a general society, millennial population. So I feel like a lot of people are now trying to just like figure things out. And when you have that mixed with poor leadership and culture, that's not helping anyone succeed in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know. I hate to like just single out millennials, but I
totally agree. And I hate to play the victim role here, but I feel like we were shorthanded in some sense in a lot of ways, as far as just even the economy, how things. I mean, the housing market is insane now. I mean, just yeah. Then you have COVID. I guess it affected everybody, but it seemed like it affected millennials more than most. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that's narcissistic to say because I am a millennial.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on that. But let's continue.
Okay, let's go. Let's dive in.
I'm going to challenge you then to those EOS methods, which, by the way, Gene Wickman is the entrepreneur that founded that. And you can just do a web search and find him. He's not paying us or anything like that. But it's just a good foundation and wrote a couple books on it. But anyways, I would challenge you to take those same, as we just talked about, being a leader, what you would do with a company. Why not do that in your life? Why not say, I'm going to be a leader, my own leader in my life? And what if I did establish those same tenets? Hold yourself accountable. Have some data to say, how do I get from point A to point B? Or what do I do to get there? And what's my data on that?
That's good.
It's huge.
That's really good, actually.
Yes. And that's why the vision boards were key, too, because I've noticed throughout my own life, I lack structure.
Yeah.
I don't have a vision.
We had that. And we did this weekend. We got together and did vision boards. I recorded it and I was going to post it to TikTok.
Is that where you get whiteboards? You just like color on them and stuff? You like different colors? And
No, well, we did do different colors actually. We were going to go get magazines and like find pictures to put on these boards, but magazines are like $13 a piece now, so that's not happening. And I didn't have color ink, so we just did permanent markers and changed colors and made it pretty and just made it simple. It's just something to look at, but I think that it holds you accountable for certain things. Like I just have a really weird one on there though, because I had to put it on there. I said. My ultimate goal in life, even if I'm 95 and still alive, swim with great white sharks. Yeah.
Yeah. Her board was so much cooler than mine.
Well, anybody can say stupid stuff like that. Oh, I'm sorry, not stupid. That's a goal. That's a good goal.
It's a good goal. It's unrealistic.
So that's what a vision board does, is you just basically establish your goals.
Yeah, I mean, what you want. Like one of mine, my number one was to have a second home.
Mine was to pay off my first home.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're on track then to follow these tenets of being your own leader in your own life by a vision board. You're right. So do that first, and now start collecting the information that we can post or whatever. And I don't know how we do that without copyright and.
What do you mean?
Wickman getting all over us, but I'm sure he'd like the.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I don't.
I think as long as we reference it.
As long as we.
But the 6 tenets, and then try to look at those 6 tenets and on your vision board, and how do I attach data to it? How do I set the process for it? How do I?
Wow. That's where it gets complicated.
That's so challenging. But
and who do I discuss the issues with? Well, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good head start to.
I love it though.
Changing. Yeah. Because I think we've set ourselves up for that. With our current life change for both of us.
Yeah.
To do that. Man, way to hold ourselves accountable. I've never done it like that before.
Yeah, this could be.
Yeah.
Is really?
What?
You haven't?
I haven't what?
Held yourself accountable.
Because really, we just did the easy part.
We could all sit back and go, yeah, I didn't really hold myself accountable on that one. I let it go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of situations.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't.
But really, we just did the easy part. Like, this is what we want. But how do we
that's
obtain
the easiest part. Yeah.
And how do we
it's
maintain it?
Yeah, it's easy to do the vision board and say, oh, this is what I want.
I want a mansion.
Okay.
Is that all you do is like acquire things on the vision board?
No. Mine was to travel more. I had one to travel more. I had to let myself have good things in life. What was the other one I had? I'm trying to remember. I had 7 or 8 of them.
Well, we can do that as another episode.
Yeah, we can do
talk
it.
about
But
those.
yeah, so they're not all materialistic.
Only after you've gone through the 6 tenets of the EOS and
That's such
come
a
up with a
challenge.
plan on how to achieve all those.
I'm excited, though.
I have a short-term one, though. A short-term one that needs to be completed by the first of the year at 7 a.m.
Wait.
Get on a plane.
Oh,
and
yeah.
be okay.
Yes.
Man, I saw a reel, and apparently Johnny, my admin person who just came in here and got her bike, and that's kind of fun. I was telling her this, and yeah, apparently there's a Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media celebrity. He's a really small guy, but he looks like a baby. So they do all these weird different things. And he was on this plane, and he's like eating. Well, you know how they do it now, where they kind of superimpose the person over a background that's of something else, right? What is that called? POV.
Oh yeah, POV. Yeah.
What does that stand for, by the way?
Point of view. Grandpa.
So POV. I know.
I didn't know it either.
I just lost all the millennial people. I thought he was cool, but no. So yeah, it's this guy. I wish I could find it. I even forget. Again, I got to prepare more and get these names, but things come to me. And anyways, it's this guy that looks like a baby, and he's like eating. And then he stops eating, and he's kind of looking outside, and then the background is POV me when the plane's making these weird sounds. I'm like, is that supposed to happen or not supposed? But then he just keeps eating. So that's and it's that sound. If you've been on a plane, it's really when they're bringing in the flaps. They make these weird because they kind of turn and they're like this.
See, it's not that. It's not. It's not the plane. It's not the fear of crashing. It's not the plane. I can't sit still. I have a problem with sitting still. I can't do it. So if I'm in a trapped space where I can't just like open a door and get out, it makes me antsy and anxious, and I have to work through that. But because I love self-care, I made a therapy appointment like 2 days before New Year's Day to go through it. Yeah. So, but that's my short-term goal, is to do that, because if I feel like if I can get through that, I'm good. I'm good. Good.
Well, when they turn the seatbelt sign off, you can get up. You know.
You're free to move about the cabin.
But I can't get out of the plane. Like I can't open a door.
There's so much to see on the plane. There's people. There's restrooms to visit.
She's churning butter on the wing.
What'd you say? Churning butter
on the
wing.
There's a pioneer woman on the wing. Have you ever seen Brad's
She always calls me pioneer woman, like all the time.
Isn't she a good cook, the pioneer woman? Like
yeah, she is.
The magazine's like $10. We were gonna buy it. I was like, no, thank you.
Back to that. You know, you could probably go to some, I don't know, bodega's trash bin and find all the empty trash.
There's recyclable trash bins all around town.
See, this is stuff I didn't
I
think
used
about.
to go in there to get coupons. Back when they used to double coupons at stores, I would go to the recycle bins and get all the coupons.
And see, everyone says they have problems. Now we have real problems here.
I have no shame.
Me neither.
Hey, that's how I was raised. My dad, like, we'd go out on Saturday morning. He'd drag me into the truck, and it was trash day, and we would go hunting for stuff that was still good.
Yep. Yeah.
I got a bicycle for Christmas that was pulled out of the trash and he cleaned up. And,
Heck yeah.
which it's okay.
Yeah, it's perfectly
Nathan
fine.
does. He does that a lot.
Yeah.
The handle on his dishwasher is an old piece of driftwood that he found down by the river by his
Nice.
house.
I love that.
Dude, if you could make driftwood into something, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I got a lot of pieces hanging around my house.
We'll get Nate in here.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thanks again for listening. This is another episode of Subject to Change. I am Mallory.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm the monkey in the middle.
And everything is fine. This is Subject to Change, and everything is fine. Subject to change. Everything is fine.